On this episode of EdTech, I'll be talking with Gina Sanservero from FSR. We'll be talking about CCUMC, career development, and as well as technology outside the classroom.
The network for the AV industry.
What are you listening to?
This
is AV.
This
is AVNation.
This is AVNation.
Support for AVNation is brought to you by InfoComm International. InfoComm 2017, What Will You Create? Join them June 14th through the 16th in Orlando, Florida. Visit infocommshow.org for more information.
This is EdTech, episode 52, CCUMC, career development.
This is EdTech.
This is EdTech, the monthly higher ed podcast. I'm your host, Bill O'Donnell, and with us we have our special guest, Gina Sanservero from FSR. Gina?
Hi, Bill. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy to be here today.
Aw, thank you. So we are actually doing a special this month. We're going to be covering a couple of topics. If anything, Gina, if you don't know, is the education sales. Is it director of education sales or head of education sales or?
It's a mouthful, whatever it is. It's actually director of business development education.
Geez, and I thought my title was wrong. If you don't know, my title at William Patterson is, it says AV Network Design Engineer. Yeah. And then if you actually get into my job, it's more project management, but you know, as I say, title is one thing, duties are another.
Yep.
So anyway, that being said, if anything, for those who don't know, FSR is located in the wonderful realm of northern New Jersey, and I won't lie, they are about 15 minutes from William Patterson and everything. So it's kind of a fun thing. And more to the point, Gina and I actually collaborated together due to a project in which, well, sometimes the architects have the best laid plans, and then the integration of it leaves something to be desired. But thankfully enough, Gina came by one day, kind of looked at some things, and I told her about our scenario, and she said, "Oh yeah, no, we can take care of that." And a couple of Dremel presses later and some milling, we were able to get some things worked out. And by that I mean there were some wall plates of just whoever designed it never intended for this to happen, and thankfully the folks at FSR can pretty much do just about anything you need to have done. It doesn't help. It doesn't hurt in the fact that I don't know. You guys are like what, the second largest consumer of sheet metal in the state?
Something like that. Absolutely. Yeah.
So it's fun. It's good. And on top of that, I've known a couple of your engineers, and like I said, you guys always have the, what do you need? We will come with you. We will help you out. I've rarely have ever heard a no. I think that the most that's ever been uttered is, are you sure you want to go down that path? But that being said, as I say, if anything for us, it's great just because, you guys are local, right around the corner. And if anything, there's kind of just a neighborliness to it. But that being said, you guys take the education segment very seriously. And, as I say, just for those who don't know, Gina, what is FSR doing to get into is doing in the education sector?
Well, they hired me, so I guess that was their first move in the right direction. But we are actually doing a lot in the education section right now, and that includes a number of different things, like being involved with education technology specific organizations like CCUMC, like Northwest Met, like PADLA. All of these organizations that really support the peer-to-peer contact within your world is highly important to us, mostly because a lot of these smaller regional and even national organizations allow us as sponsors, vendors, suppliers, whatever you want to call us, to be really involved in the conversation, and it creates a sense of community. So not only do you learn from us what we have available to you at this time, but we learn from you what you need and modify our product lines. We modify our path to market to be able to communicate with you in a way that's most beneficial mutually.
Oh yeah. Now, a great example of this is there's an annual conference called CCUMC, which once again, getting into the mouthful of acronyms, and take it from the guy who used to be in the DoD. Even my acronyms, I looked at, and I was like, oh dang. So there's CCUMC, or what's known as the Collegiate Consortium of University Media Centers, and those, if you're not aware, CCUMC is the collection of where there's, you have your CIOs, you have your tech managers, you have your heads of media services. Sometimes there's even folks who are involved in capital plans, and they all come to it's an annual, usually there's an annual conference, and they kind of throw it around. It's not like InfoComm where it's Vegas or Orlando, or a while back it used to be in Anaheim, but that's many, many moons ago. This kind of jumps around. The first one I went to was in Pittsburgh, and that's where I actually got to meet Gina and kind of really chit chat and really got to know you about some things. And we went around to let's see, the folks that hosted it were Duquesne, University of Pittsburgh. I
think Carnegie Mellon, right?
Yes.
Were they not a host, but they're just in that city?
They were part of the group. I know the folks at Grove City did like a demo and everything, but you get to chat with your local, like your equivalent peers at this show, and the big difference is that at InfoComm, everyone's out there because they're just like, oh, check out our new products, oh, check this stuff out. And of course, you're going to have big companies. Like I know at InfoComm, I think it was last year or so, the folks from Facebook were coming around, and of course, you had like the folks from Crestron, the folks from JBL, and a couple other ones were all like, "Oh, Facebook! Oh yeah, no, we'll pay attention to you." And I'm going, "Excuse me." And it's not a slam against them or anything like that. I totally get it. Facebook is going to drop a huge amount of money into these things, and not every school has a mega bucks budget and everything. Some of them kind of do some shoestring budgets and everything, and it's not their fault. It's literally, hey, we only have X amount of students coming in, this is the budget that we have, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like I said, I'm not beating anyone up. Believe me, if I had a multi-million-dollar budget and everything, oh yeah, believe me, folks would just be like, what can we do? Well, you tell us what you need and we will do it, no problem. But I don't have that. I have the budget that I have. And so when you have things like CCUMC, and it's a smaller show, and there's, as I say, and if anything, it actually makes it better, at least in the education world, because we get to have one-on-one conversations. I got to chat with you, we got to chat with Ed. At Crestron, I got to chat with catch up with Lainey on things, and it's great. It is one of those things where you can actually have a longer conversation with the folks and everything. And once again, I'm not beating up on InfoComm. Believe me, as I say, the big fish come to those shows, and a lot of money is spent, and big deals are made, which is great. But at the smaller shows, and just recently we had there was a Simco trade show, and that was a smaller show. But at the same time, the smaller shows are where you can have more one-on-one conversations. We can kind of throw spaghetti against the wall and see what sticks. And the other nice thing is with CCUMC is the fact that nobody's really out to get anybody. It's literally, hey, I had this problem with my faculty. We tried this, it didn't work. What do you guys do? What works best for you? And it's really just everyone wants to exchange ideas, and there's nobody that's going to say, oh, we got that idea. Oh man, I'm going to pull all the students from Northwestern to William Patterson. No, that's never going to happen. Just, it's one of those things of, I will admit up front, technology is important in the classroom, but that is not what is drawing students to your school. It's just, it didn't, nobody says, oh yeah, I want to work at Bear Stearns because, the conference rooms are awesome, or I want to go to Yale because, man, those auditoriums are just kick ass. No, it's how they're used and how it makes the faculty better express what they're doing.
Well, I think that you bring up a really good point. CCUMC is all about being a non-competitive environment, and that's at every level of that conference, from the peer-to-peer conference sessions. So those sessions are all your peers. They're all higher ed, tech managers, network engineers who work in the schools who have been there, done that, and now can talk to you about it. So you get to learn from them. And then on the supplier, manufacturer / sponsor side, it's an even playing field. These smaller events don't have the big booths. They don't have they just don't. Yeah, you get a table. Everybody gets a table, and maybe Crestron gets 2 tables, but nobody gets more than 2 tables. It's
Yeah, there's no, as I say, there's no Crestron Castle, or the, if you go back a couple of years, the big Extron Castle. Extron, I will say this, Extron is at CCUMC, and yes, they do, they listen just as much as everybody else.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
I mean, and one of the great things about it is it's not about the exhibit area. It's about inviting the sponsors into the sessions. It's about inviting the sponsors into the tours and the after curricular activities and things like that really allows this to be more of a community than a trade show. InfoComm is a trade show, and outside of that trade show there is a community. But CCUMC, first and foremost, is a community, and everybody is invited to participate.
Yeah. So the other part of this too is that folks are active within CCUMC, not just during the show itself and everything. There's a big old listserv, and folks will just throw things out there. And I know you're on it, I'm on it, and there are times where you read stuff through, and it's like, and you'll look at the email. And sometimes I'll look at stuff and go, "Oh, that's interesting. I didn't ever thought of that." Then there's some other ones where I look and I go and say, "Nope, I'm not touching that with a 10-foot pole. No." But once again, these are folks who legitimately are looking and going, saying, "I need some help. Like, I just want to get a group consensus. This is the problem I'm having. Does anyone have any suggestions?" Or the other part of it too is they will have regional folks who will go and say, "Hey, this integrator has won a bid. Does anyone have any recommendations, or did anyone deal with them?" And it's like you said, it's just everyone kind of chatting, everyone kind of saying, "Oh yeah, no, I dealt with them," or it could just be the hey, we want to make sure that we get a good qualified bidder on here. What are some of the things you suggest in the contract? Because I have seen that pop up.
Without a doubt. And one of the interesting things about the conference, and the listserv is always very active, but one of the really interesting things about the conference is that they consistently pull a few hundred, almost 250, 300 attendees. And when you think about how precious to you guys those professional development days and dollars are, and how specifically you can only choose one event every 18 months, right? When you think about that, and then you think about how consistently they pull that many tech managers from across the country, that just speaks volumes for the type of organization and the type of value that that conference gives.
Yeah, and that's the other thing too. As I say, this ranges the scale from, and just for those who don't know, this year they're holding it at Notre Dame, which is just massive in its own right. I mean, as I say, those guys, I just look and think about the number of classrooms that they have to manage, along with all the specialties, and just how it's like, oh, how do we set up the classrooms for the engineering department? And the back of my brain goes, for that school, you can just start seeing steam coming out of my ears. I don't even want to touch that, but me personally, I would love to see how those guys handle it. Once again, once every 18 months, and some, I got snagged. So, next year, but it's fine. It'll be good. But like I said,
I'll periscope it for you.
Ooh, I like it. As I say, if either one of us had an Apple phone, we could FaceTime it. But anyway, so that being said, they hop it around, and the thing that really is nice about it too is that yes, it does run the gamut. We have folks who show up from like Yale or University of Illinois, and then we also have folks who pop up from like Portland Community Center, Portland Community College, and as I say, it's once again, it spans the whole gamut. There are folks who literally say, hey, we have 50 classrooms. This is how we manage our stuff. How can we do it better? We have 1,000 classrooms, and then we also have satellite campuses in Dubai. And by that I mean the wonder. As I say, I don't know how the folks at NYU keep their sanity with that one, but once again, that's the kind of thing. That's the kind of gambit you run with this show. Mm-hmm. So the other nice thing about it too is that not only do you have manufacturers who give little showcase showcase speeches and everything, at the same time there are also presentations done by other groups, or sorry, not other groups, by other professionals and individuals at the schools. I remember the first year, and oh yeah, let's give Bill a mild heart attack. Hey Bill, it's the first time you're going to CCUMC. Oh, by the way, you're going to give a presentation too on active learning classrooms. What? And what now? And not that I am the bastion of professionalism, but it was just more of the fact of like, Sandy, how many folks are going to show up to this? Oh, don't worry about that. Just, put together the PowerPoint presentation. I'll talk about the education pedagogy and you talk about the hardware. And I'm looking and going, Sandy, we just built these classrooms. I'm still learning about this. Don't worry. And, the thing that ended up happening more out of it than anything else were that a lot of folks showed up, I think, in a room that held like I looked in, and originally I was like, holy crap, there's like maybe 10 people. About 5 minutes later or so, there was like 30 to 35. Mm-hmm. And everyone wants to ask questions about it. Everyone was asking questions a lot about like active learning, which it's a new thing in education, and some folks have already like, oh yeah, no, we totally got it down, and other folks are going, how much does this cost? Because we have to explain this to our provost, and the more bullet points you can give us, the more reasons why this is a good thing. Please tell us more. And like I said, it was kind of humbling, because folks were going, well, what would you say? And I'm going, oh wow, suddenly
you're the expert. Yeah, you're the expert now.
So it's yeah, like I said, it's one of those things of, if you want to get deeper into the field, or get a better understanding, or get a kind of soothe the, oh my gosh, this is all like, there's so much new technology, or there's my professor wants this, what am I going to do? CCUMC is a great place where folks just exchange ideas and just chat about things, and it just makes life a bit easier. Now, on the same flip side, like I said, every now and then in the listserv, there's hey, I went and did this, and I kind of look and I'm like, yeah, you can do that. You can, but that's the beauty of the listserv. Like I said, you see the entire gamut on these things. So as I say, kind of coming off of that, Gina, are there things that you guys like tend to show off specifically at CCUMC, or there's some things that you're like, oh, this will work best for this show, kind of thing?
Yes, for sure. And this is probably true of most of the EdTech specific events that I either sponsor or exhibit at. I don't bring floor boxes. Everybody knows FSR for floor boxes, so I make sure I do not bring floor boxes. Besides the fact that they are so incredibly heavy, I do not need to be lugging those around. But I mean, I think the point that I'm trying to make is that I show things that are relevant to the classroom technology. And while floor boxes are installed in classrooms, generally that comes out of the capital improvements budget. Facilities or electrical departments will take care of that. So while you might have a say in the type of connections that go into those boxes, you might not have a say, or even a desire to have a say, in the fact that it's an FSR floor box. So, you know, I tend not to bring something that seems like it's on the periphery of your world. So I'd like to bring stuff that's more really embedded, whether it's transmitters and receivers, whether it's our table boxes, Huddle View collaboration system, Flex control system, things like that really make that are really a solution for you.
Yeah. So recently there was something you guys debuted. I saw it at the Simco show, and you know, as I say, we got a little taste of it and everything. It's the Huddle Block?
Huddle blocks, yes.
There we go.
So what we found is that I go on college campus tours all the time, and I find these beautiful new, let's say, science buildings, and they're glass and they're metal and they're gorgeous. And then I go walk inside, and the classrooms are like top of the line. And then you walk through the hallways or the lounge areas, and there are students sitting in the middle of the hallway next to a pole or some type of support, plugged into the outlet on that wall.
Oh yeah, it's like a scene from like Terminal C over at Newark Airport or something.
Well, I don't go to Newark because I just cannot stand that airport, so we'll call it JFK.
Okay, JFK, fine.
But yeah, I mean, I think JFK has more charging than a lot of the schools that I go into, even the new buildings. So we found that charging has become a real sore spot for a lot of students, a lot of faculty, a lot of staff, and the architects and the designers aren't necessarily thinking about it as front of mind. So the Huddle Blocks is a charging side table, basically. I mean, it has wireless charging, it has AC power, and it has USB charging that really allows the students the flexibility to charge their devices however they want. So, you know, I mean, it comes in sizes, it comes in colors. It's kind of a neat little product right now.
Yeah. So, for example, we actually right outside my office is the student services supervisor. And, you know, he does have a number of students who come by, and I kind of looked at it and I went, this is a good place to do the Samsonite test. And if you don't know, there's the old Samsonite commercial where, you know, the gorilla is throwing around the suitcase and everything. And in our case, our students, believe me, I love them to death. Some of them can be really smart. Some of them can be really klutzy. And there are just some that you look and you go, I think you're a warm body in the room. But as I say, like I said, it comes in all different, as I say, not every student, as I say, not every one of our students is you know, going to change the world. But the thing is, though, is that they all come in there and they all hang out. So I kind of looked at it and I went, let me go see what happens and everything. And so we put it actually between two of the chairs and everything. And almost right away, the students were kind of looked and they saw this little puck up top and they're like, what's that for? I'm like, oh, that's the wireless charging puck. And they're like, cool. And so 90% of them have iPhones, and they're putting it on and they hear a beep, nothing. And they're like, dude, your thing's broken. I'm like, oh yeah? No, it's not. Watch this. And I have a Samsung S7, and put on there, beep, little vibrate, and boom, it started charging. They're like, dude, how come yours has it and mine doesn't? I'm like, give Apple a year. It'll come.
Yep.
But the students who did have that, I think there's some folks who have like the Note and that does wireless charging. They all started using it. They all started plugging the stuff in. And the number one complaint I got so far from everyone was there's not enough wireless charging pucks. And the other one asked, can we have cup holders? And I said, you can't have cup holders. I said, I am not turning this into a car console.
I was just gonna say, it's like the center console of your car now.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm not doing that. However, they all like the wireless charging pucks. As I say, essentially a lot of the students will suddenly, like, now it's almost like if you saw an old episode of The Simpsons, there was when Ned Flanders was the principal, and Bart Simpson was getting into more trouble just because you know, Ned's like, are you coming here just because I have peanut butter cups in my jar? And he's just like, maybe. And then he like jingles the glass. Like, oh, you want Newton? Oh, okay, sure. So it's kind of the same thing in Caleb's office, and the fact that a lot of students kind of huddle around there, and I kind of look and I'm like, are you guys coming here just because of the fast charging? And they're like, no. I'm like, really? Let me see what's going on. But but no, if anything, that's a great thing in the regards of, I'll say this, at William Patterson, we have a large and rather diverse student body. A lot of them do commute, and so they tend to like having like little kind of huddle spaces and little group spaces and things like that. But the way that our architect kind of designed a lot of the stuff is that there's only like maybe 1 or 2 outlets per room. And, I'm sure it's part of, them being cost effective and everything, but that's fine. But I've also kind of noticed that our students tend to congregate around, and you hit the nail on the head with this one. They'll congregate, in the hallways where there's an outlet, and, they'll be sitting on the floor looking like a little disheveled homeless person. And I'm sorry. In a lot of cases, No, in a lot of cases, it's just they look and they go, dude, here's an outlet. I got to charge my phone. I have to charge my laptop. They are digital natives. So they live and die by their smartphones. They live and die by their laptops, their tablets, either what have you. And if anything, I look at it as a great idea because we have some long hallways in some of our buildings, and they do have soft seating. And the students don't use it as much as they should. They do where there's an outlet, but otherwise it's a freaking ghost town. And so kind of putting these in will kind of, add, and the eventual end goal is to make sure that the students hang around more and there's more of a sense of community. Now, just because, oh, hey, I'm charging my phone and you're charging your phone. Oh, that's great. Well, it doesn't mean they're all going to be friends, but at the same time, it's keeping students on campus.
Right.
So I think from your guys' perspective, it's, is it in the classroom? No, but is it adding value to the education market? Of course. It's making the student life, it's improving the student life, it's improving the campus usage, which really in the education world, they want students to be on campus more because they want them to stay there. They want them to they want to increase their retention rates. So I think you guys are doing a great service with coming up with that product.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So I'm getting as I say, we're getting close to our time here. So Gina, if anything, where can folks find you online?
Well, they can find me on LinkedIn, of course, and then also on Twitter at Gina Sans and at FSR_EDU. They can also find me in 2 weeks from today in Center City, Philadelphia.
Ooh.
I will be at the Higher Ed Technology Summit, and that's exclusively for higher ed tech managers. Bill, you'll be there too as part of my panel, which I'm very excited about. And people can, I'm doing a plug and I'm very sorry, but people can register at hets2017.eventbrite.com.
Well, there you have it. If anything, folks, if you're in the greater Philly area, I would highly suggest coming to this. Once again, it's a great just kind of exchange of ideas. There'll be a number of, there'll be a number of folks viewing this. And like I said, if you're in the Philly area, come by. You get to,
on May the 4th. It's Star Wars holiday.
Yes. And later on, I'll be celebrating Revenge of the 6th, which is that Saturday. But anyway, also known as Free Comic Book Day. And just to let you know, if you want to get a link to that, we will put the link on this episode's page. It'll be at the bottom. So once again, if folks want to see that and register, we will provide all the information to everyone available. So that being said, I am Bill O'Donnell. You can find me on Twitter as the original OD. You can also find me on LinkedIn. And those are the 2 easiest ways to get a hold of me. Have a week, folks. All right, bye.